The gymnasium aboard the Galactic Assembly Station hummed with the usual pre-shift activity. Maintenance crews from a dozen species stretched, calibrated their exoskeletons, or ran diagnostic checks on their neural interfaces. In the corner, Marcus Chen rotated his shoulders in slow circles, then dropped into a series of push-ups. "Look at the Deathworlder," chittered Zexathai, a Valorian whose species had evolved on a low-gravity moon. His crystalline form refracted the station's artificial light as he gestured with one of his 4 delicate appendages. "He's preparing for labor by exhausting himself first." A cluster of workers gathered, their universal translators converting amusement into a dozen different frequencies. Catherine, a hulking Gormath whose people came from a heavy world, though still only 0.8 G compared to Earth's oppressive 1.0, shook his massive head. Humans are the only species in the assembly who willingly damage their own muscle tissue before work. It's no wonder they need such frequent medical attention. Marcus continued his routine unperturbed. 20 push-ups, 30. He transitioned into jumping jacks, his movements fluid despite the station's standard 0.6 G environment that most species considered optimal. To them, he looked like he was performing an elaborate ritual of self-sabotage. "Perhaps it's a psychological necessity," offered Dr. Silvana, a Thalaxian xenobiologist who had made human physiology her specialty. Their homeworld was so hostile that they developed elaborate coping mechanisms. The warm-up ritual might be a form of mental preparation, a way to convince themselves they're ready for danger that no longer exists. Zexthai's crystalline structure vibrated with laughter. "Imagine evolving on a planet so deadly that your own body attacks itself if you don't move enough. I read that humans can actually lose bone density and muscle mass from mere inactivity. What kind of biological system punishes rest? The kind forged in hell," Catherine muttered, though his tone carried more pity than malice. "I've seen their planet's databases. Predators in every biome, diseases that jump species, weather systems that can flatten entire settlements. Their own star bombards them with radiation that would kill most of us in days." Marcus finished his warm-up, 10 minutes of movements that would have exhausted most species, and barely seemed winded. He grabbed his toolkit and headed toward Base 7, where a structural support beam needed replacement. The job was simple. Remove the old beam, install the new one. Standard maintenance that would take a crew of 4 Gormath about 6 hours with proper equipment. The onlookers dispersed, already forgetting about the strange human and his bizarre pre-work ritual. 2 hours later, alarms began blaring in Base 7. Catherine was first on the scene, arriving to find Marcus standing amid a scatter of tools looking sheepish. The new support beam, solid durasteel rated for 40,000 pounds of pressure, was installed. But something was wrong. The beam had a noticeable bend in it, a curve that definitely wasn't part of the original specifications. "What happened?" Catherine demanded, his translator struggling to convey his confusion. Marcus rubbed the back of his neck. "I might have grabbed it too hard when I was positioning it. The anti-grav failed mid-installation and I caught it. Didn't want it to fall, so I held on tight. When I set it down, I noticed it had warped a bit." "You caught it?" Catherine's voice rose an octave. "A 40-ton beam? And bent it? With your hands?" "It's only rated for 40,000 pounds, not 40 tons, Marcus corrected helpfully. "And I didn't mean to bend it. I was just trying to keep it steady." By the time Dr. Silvana arrived, a crowd had gathered. She ran her scanner over Marcus 3 times, certain the device was malfunctioning. It wasn't. "Your muscle density," she breathed, her bioluminescent patches flickering in distress. "It's increased by 23% since your last physical. Your bone density is up 31%. Your cardiovascular efficiency has improved by—" She fell silent, recalculating. "This is impossible. You've become stronger since arriving on the station." "Well, yeah," Marcus said. "The gym here is only 0.6 G. It's easier to do more reps, recover faster. I've been able to really push my training without the usual strain. It's been great." The implication crashed through the assembled crowd like a shockwave. "Wait," Zexthai said slowly. "You mean you've been holding back this entire time? Your warm-ups aren't preparation for work in our environment. They're you trying to maintain your baseline strength from your death world?" Marcus shrugged. I guess. If I don't work out regularly, I start to feel weak. The station's low gravity is comfortable, but it's not enough resistance to maintain my muscle mass naturally. So I compensate. Catherine stared at the bent beam, then at Marcus, then back at the beam. His people had evolved on one of the heaviest worlds in the known galaxy. They prided themselves on their strength. He could lift twice what any other species could manage. He had always assumed that humans, with their fragile-looking builds and soft skin, were among the weakest species in the assembly. He had been catastrophically wrong. "You're telling me," Catherine said carefully, "that what we call a warm-up, you damaging your own muscles deliberately, is actually you desperately trying to prevent your body from becoming too weak for your homeworld?" "Pretty much," Marcus confirmed. "If I ever go back to Earth after a long station rotation, I need to be able to handle full gravity. Can't let myself get soft." Dr. Silvana was furiously entering data into her tablet. "This changes everything we know about Deathworlder physiology. You're not just adapted to survive in hostile conditions. Your bodies are designed to improve under stress. You become stronger when challenged, weaker when comfortable. It's not a curse of your evolution. It's the ultimate survival adaptation." "That's why they call it exercise," Marcus said, picking up his tools. "You exercise your body to improve it. Doesn't everyone do that?" The silence that followed was answer enough. As Marcus walked away to requisition a new support beam, one he promised to grip less enthusiastically, the gathered crowd exchanged glances. They had mocked the human's strange rituals, pitied his need to constantly push himself, assumed his warm-ups were a quirk of a traumatized species. They had never considered that humanity's greatest strength wasn't what they could do at their baseline. It was their unlimited capacity to adapt, improve, and exceed any limit placed before them. Even by accident, in the corner of Bay 7, the bent durasteel beam stood as a monument to that revelation. Station Command eventually had it mounted in the cafeteria with a small plaque, a reminder that what Deathworlders call warming up would be most species' maximum effort, and they're just getting started.